Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we are cutting straight to the bone on a very structured blueprint for getting into AI. We're looking at the AI Immersion and Training Program by Anthropic.
Exactly. And for anyone out there trying to get skills that are, immediately useful in the AI world, this document is basically a map. We're not just reading a brochure here. We're going to dissect the curriculum, the tools they chose, and the incentives to figure out if this whole 8-week model actually works.
That's the mission, to unpack what you would actually learn, what tools you'd master, and what the real payoff is for, well, for putting yourself through something this fast-paced. So let's start with the basics, the logistics of it. Okay, so first up, this schedule it's intense. We're talking 8 weeks. But the key thing, and this is huge, is that it's only on weekends.
Right, which immediately tells you who it's for. The working professional, the student who's already busy. It's a massive advantage. But it also means, wow, you're concentrating a ton of effort into a very short amount of time.
And we have the details. It starts February 1st, 2026, and they list a special launch price of $15,000.
The structure itself tells a whole story about the commitment level. You're basically taking months of normal learning and cramming it into these weekend sprints.
It's a lot.
It totals 32 hours of live instructor-led training. But honestly, if you look closer, the real weight isn't just the lecture time, it's the application, the mentor-guided capstone project.
The apprenticeship model.
Yes.
Yeah.
It forces you to connect the theory to something real, something that works. And that's what gets you a job.
And speaking of jobs, let's look at who they're targeting because it's surprisingly broad. You've got students and recent grads, but also working professionals trying to switch careers. Then developers who need to build AI apps and even like startup founders.
And that breadth is sort of the first big question mark, isn't it? Can a single 8-week program really serve a developer who just needs to add LLMs to their toolkit?
Yeah.
And also someone coming from, say, a totally non-technical field?
Exactly. The starting point for those two people is worlds apart. So for the program to work, the curriculum has to be just ruthless in its efficiency.
It has to be.
It seems like they're betting that all those groups need the same thing right now. Practical, deployable skills. The document says it moves participants from fundamentals to building and deploying real-world AI applications. That last word, deploying, that feels like the key to the whole thing.
It has to be. They're pruning away all the heavy traditional theory to make space for the practical stuff. They're betting everyone's urgent need is to master the modern application stack.
Okay, so if deployment is the North Star, let's walk through the actual curriculum. How do they get you there in 8 weeks? It starts, logically enough. Foundations of AI, machine learning, and data science.
The essentials. You have to have that base.
And then they move right into the practical side of data hygiene. Stuff like data preprocessing, feature engineering, and model evaluation. The cleanup work that makes or breaks a model in the real world.
And here's where it gets really interesting, because the transition is fast. Once that foundation is set, boom, they pivot straight to the high-demand stuff. They dive into deep learning, and the document is very specific. Their tool of choice is PyTorch.
That feels like a deliberate signal.
It is. Choosing PyTorch over something like TensorFlow often means you're focusing on research flexibility, on rapid prototyping. It's what's favored for a lot of the state-of-the-art models these days.
And they take that deep learning focus and apply it to specific areas. I'm seeing computer vision for image applications, and then the big one, natural language processing, or NLP.
Right, and if you're talking about modern NLP, you are really talking about one thing.
Transformers.
Transformers. It's the non-negotiable architecture right now. And the program is clearly built around the hottest topics that use them, generative AI and large language models. So this isn't just a general AI course. It's heavily, heavily weighted toward where the market is right now.
Which makes sense. They're tapping into the immediate job opportunities. But I do have a question about one thing they included. They list reinforcement learning fundamentals. RL is famously complex. In a packed 8-week course, is that a strategic addition, or is it just spreading things too thin?
That's a great question. It's about scope versus depth, really. My guess is RL only gets a brief overview. It's more about exposure, maybe future-proofing you a little bit. The real meat of those 32 hours, it has to be on that generative AI stack. That's the immediate return on investment for the learner.
So it's about covering the whole frontier, even if it's just a quick tour of some parts.
Exactly. Because all of that knowledge is pointed at one final step: AI model deployment and real-world integration. Getting the model out of the notebook and into the wild.
A program is really defined by the tools it makes you use, by the stack it forces you to master. So what does the AnthroSync toolkit look like? Why these specific tools?
Well, knowledge is only valuable when you can apply it, right? And these tools are all about immediate application. The base of the stack is what you'd expect. Python libraries like NumPy, Pandas, scikit-learn. But the specialized tools, that's what makes it interesting. We already mentioned PyTorch, and they also specifically list Hugging Face.
Okay, so let's break that down for someone listening. What's the big deal about mastering Hugging Face? Why is that so important?
It's the center of the universe for modern NLP. It's not just one library, it's a whole ecosystem. It's the hub for sharing pre-trained models, data sets, everything you need for transformers and LLMs. So mastering Hugging Face means you aren't starting from zero. You're starting with the state of the art.
It's collaborative.
It is. It's how modern AI development actually gets done in the real world.
So that covers training and finding models. But like we said, deployment is where most programs fall down. They teach you to train a model, but not how to put it behind an API. What tools do they list that guarantee you can go from code to a live app?
This is where their focus on MLOps, on operations, really shines. The list has GitHub for version control, Google Colab for development, and then the two big deployment tools, Streamlit and FastAPI.
And the fact that they list both is significant.
Very.
Can you break down the difference for us? Why teach both?
Sure. Think of it this way. Streamlit is fantastic for quickly building an interactive front end, a dashboard. It lets you showcase your model to people. But FastAPI is for building this serious, scalable, high-performance API behind the scenes. It's how your model talks to other software at scale.
So presentation versus performance.
Exactly. Streamlit is for showing, FastAPI is for serving. By teaching both, they're giving you the full stack skills to build production-ready apps, not just, academic notebook projects.
That distinction really is the core takeaway. And to power all this, they're using standard high-quality data sources. Kaggle, the UCI machine learning repository, Hugging Face datasets, they're optimizing the whole learning pipeline. All right, so after 8 grueling weekends of PyTorch and deploying LLMs with FastAPI, what do you actually walk away with? Beyond the knowledge, what are the tangible assets you get?
You leave with a few key things. First, you get the certificate of completion, standard, but necessary. You also get access to session recordings and the alumni community, which is nice. But the real prize, the thing that proves you can do the work, is the GitHub-ready project portfolio.
Right, it's your proof.
It's demonstrable proof that you can handle the entire lifecycle, from data all the way to a deployed app.
And those are valuable assets. But the document we have highlights one more incentive that, honestly, it could change the whole game, the real-world impact projects. This is the real so what of the whole thing.
This is where it goes beyond just being a course. They are offering outstanding participants the chance for hands-on industry experience and paid project opportunities through AnthroSync itself.
Wow.
If you think about it, they're essentially using this program as a talent scout. They're saying, prove to us you can master this stack in 8 weeks, and we will immediately put you on paid professional work.
That's the ultimate validation of the curriculum, then. It's not just a promise of being job-ready. It's a direct path to a job, or at least a project, for the top performers.
Yep.
It really bridges that gap between learning and actually doing the work.
Absolutely. It changes the entire risk-reward calculation for someone thinking about signing up. You're not just getting a certificate. You could be getting your first paid gig and validated experience on your resume, which is, frankly, priceless in this market.
So to wrap this deep dive up, the AnthroSync program is a very intense 8-week sprint. It's laser-focused on application. It covers the foundations, but quickly gets to the frontier, PyTorch, transformers, generative AI. And the whole structure is biased toward getting you job-ready, with a deployable portfolio using tools like FastAPI and Streamlit, and then that huge incentive of potential paid work at the end.
The fact that programs like this even exist and are designed this way tells you something about the tech job market. Theory alone just doesn't cut it anymore. Employers want people who can, day one, use the modern stack, generative AI, Hugging Face deployment tools. This curriculum is engineered specifically to deliver that.
It's all about immediate, provable skill. Okay, so here's a final thought for you to chew on. If your goal was maximum impact in minimum time and you had to pick just one of the deployment-focused tools from this program, be it PyTorch for building models, Hugging Face for leveraging existing ones, or FastAPI for serving them at scale, which single component would you master first? And how might mastering just that one skill change your immediate career path even before you commit to a full 8-week program? Something to think about until our next deep dive.